My name is Colette Lane and I work for the Surrey and Borders Recovery College as a senior recovery coach. As well as working within the NHS, I also have my own lived experience of mental health difficulties. Joining me today is Wendy Smith. Wendy also works for the Recovery College as a senior recovery coach and also has her own lived experience of mental health difficulties. We both hope that by using a combination of our lived experience, talking about what has helped us whilst in distress, along with our experience at work supporting those in distress, that we can provide you with many helpful tips and suggestions that will build your confidence when you are in a position to support a distressed person. Our aims for this session are that we can understand what we mean by distress, have the confidence that we feel able to support a person who is in distress, know some good places to signpost people to, and also think about the importance of looking after your own well-being. A person may be distressed due to many reasons. An example of a distressed person may be because they are bereaved, have lost their job, or had a relationship breakdown. A person who is distressed may present in a variety of ways. They may be anxious, depressed, grieving, agitated, or suicidal. Whilst this example is about a first aid situation, it does show how to talk to someone who is distressed.
Supporting a person who is distressed. Over the next few slides, we're going to offer some suggestions on how to have a conversation with someone in distress if you should find yourself in that situation. How to start the conversation. Some people don't want to ask these questions or start a conversation because they don't know what responsibility they might need to take as a result. We're going to give you some suggestions for how you can confidently and compassionately support someone who is distressed. Be aware of both your words and body language, such as facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, and the way you sit or stand in relation to the other person. Ask open questions such as, how are you feeling? Or what's been happening for you? Invite them to talk by saying something like, it sounds as though you've been under a lot of stress lately and not feeling that things are going very well and would like to talk to someone about this. If you have any concerns that the person is at risk and could do with a further conversation, contact your manager or your key point of contact. Continuing the conversation. Don't think and act as if you must solve all the person's problems for them, but do ask if there's anything you can do to support them. Is there anything I can do right now? Or how can I help? Allow silence. Let them know you're listening. For example, nod your head or say, mm-hmm. Don't interrupt or rush someone. For example, don't look at your watch or speak too fast. Allow plenty of time. Active listening involves understanding what someone is communicating and showing them that you've understood. Summarize what they've told you to ensure you've understood correctly, as well as offering validation. Encourage the person to get practical and emotional support. Suggest they talk about their feelings with family and friends, call a helpline, or talk to their GP. If needed, they can also access debt or benefit advice from the CAB or food vouchers via their GP. Help the person come up with ideas about what they can do to help themselves. Being in control of their decisions empowers the individual, and they're much more likely to benefit from ideas they've come up with than from someone else telling them what to do. Concern about a person's safety. A person in serious distress may consider harming themselves. Validate their distress. Acknowledge how they're feeling and any losses or important events they tell you about. I can understand that it must feel lonely working from home. I'm so sorry. I can imagine this is very sad for you. If you have a concern that someone is at risk of harming themselves, then contact your manager or key point of contact to discuss the situation and get support. Signposting if someone needs support. If they feel that family and friends can't provide the support they need, you can encourage them to contact their GP or a safe haven. Safe havens provide out-of-hours help and support to people and their carers who are experiencing a mental health crisis. They're open evenings, weekends and bank holidays and are designed to give adults a safe alternative to A&E when in crisis. Crisis Line on 0800 915 46 44 is open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Shout's text number is 85258. They offer a 24/7 text service, which is free on all major mobile networks for anyone in crisis, anytime, anywhere. And the Samaritans have a free phone number, 116 123. Safe havens are open every day to support people in a mental health crisis. Staff are observing the government advice around hand hygiene and social distancing at all times. However, to help reduce the spread of the virus and help prioritise care to the most vulnerable, they're no longer holding sessions solely for wellbeing support. People seeking same-day, face-to-face support are urged to visit their evening and weekend safe haven drop-in where possible rather than A&E. These are held in Aldershot, Epsom, Guildford, Red Hill and Woking. New virtual safe havens have been set up to allow people in crisis to access support without leaving their home. They're open during safe haven opening times only and, at the moment, for people experiencing crisis only. This slide contains links for the virtual safe havens.
Whilst performing this role, there may be times when you have questions or concerns. Perhaps you feel underprepared for this role. In this situation, speak to your manager or point of contact, as they may know of some further training that you could do. Perhaps you feel under pressure to provide help over and above your role. For example, you are dropping off an emergency food box or prescription and are asked by the resident if you would come inside their home to change a light bulb. Remind the resident that you're not allowed to enter the property due to COVID-19. It can feel really difficult to say no to requests like this, as you just want to be helpful. So it would be advised that you speak to your manager or key point of contact to discuss this. You may become stressed and upset. In this situation, speak to your manager or point of contact, as they will be able to support you. It may be helpful to take a break, as this role can be very challenging, particularly during such a difficult time. Ask your manager or point of contact for details of support. It is important to know your limits as a helper. Hopefully you are clear of what your role involves. If something occurs that you believe is outside of your role, then please talk to your manager or key point of contact. Whilst talking to an individual, you may find that you are unable to provide adequate assistance or do not feel comfortable trying to help someone cope with his or her problems. If this is the case, it is important that you indicate in a gentle but direct manner that professional assistance is free and available, and that you will assist the person in finding some support. Dealing with distressed people is challenging for a number of reasons, not least of which is the impact other people's emotional responses have on us. Humans are social animals, and considerable research has demonstrated that we undergo a wide range of involuntary connections with others in social settings. No person is impervious to the emotions of others, and in fact we are typically highly sensitive and responsive to them. Despite your best efforts to set boundaries between yourself and the emotional reactions of someone with whom you're speaking to, you may find yourself being impacted by their negative feelings. Have a look at this resource. This is a very useful training that helps you to feel more able to talk to someone who is struggling. This free 20-minute training will teach you how to approach a difficult conversation with someone who is struggling. It also provides real-life scenarios and interviews with people who have lived through the impact of mental health difficulties and suicide. If you have found yourself in a situation where you have supported someone who is distressed, you can feel exhausted and drained. Listening to what the person tells you can sometimes be difficult to hear, so you need to allow time for self-reflection. It is important to know your limits. You cannot be responsible for solving other people's problems. You can only guide and support them while they find solutions for their own situation. You should also talk to someone that you trust about how you are feeling, such as your manager or your key point of contact.